What is up, guys? It's your boy Chris Gomez. You know me from Instagram, Chris the Shark, and today I got a very special video for you. This video today holds a special place in my heart because I'm gonna show you guys exactly how I made $850,000 my very first year flipping houses with one marketing channel, direct mail. So I'm super pumped to bring this video to you guys. If you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe, keep up with your boy. I'm putting out free content for you guys 3-4 times a week. Let's go. What's up, guys? So in today's video, what I'm really gonna be going over with you is two things. One, I'm gonna tell you my story of how I started in wholesale real estate doing nothing but direct mail and how I made $850,000 my very first year. As I'm telling you guys this story, it's also gonna be a tutorial. I'll be teaching you step by step on how I did it, how I started with no money just by leveraging a credit card. And make sure you stay tuned to this video all the way to the end, because at the end, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna teach you guys exactly what lists I use, how I set up my mail, where I get my mail from, what the postcard looks like, what sequence, all that stuff, okay? First things first, I just wanna give you guys a quick disclaimer, okay? There's a lot of people online teaching how to do direct mail. Direct mail, it's one of those marketing channels where there's many ways to skin a cat. So I'm not saying that the way I do it's the only way to do it. There's people that do it different ways than I do it. But what I am gonna show you guys is exactly what I did to make $850,000 my first year doing nothing but direct mail. And guys, I wanna stress this to you, okay? When I got started, it was just mail. And it was me, a friend of mine, you guys probably know, I'll put his handle here, Dustin the Closer. He's actually sitting right here watching this right now. Say hi, Dustin, you're on camera.
What's up, guys?
So Dustin got started with me back in the day when we did this, and it was just me and him sending mail, no Podio, no office, no VAs, no headaches. We made 850 grand our first year. I'm gonna show you guys how we did it, okay? One other disclaimer I wanna give you guys. I did have a little bit of an unfair advantage when I started because I already had a successful business, so I was already aware of how to manage cash flow, and I understood reinvesting in marketing and things like that. And also, I'm widely considered a sales expert, negotiations expert, so that gave me a little bit of an unfair advantage also when I started getting leads in. If you're new to wholesale real estate and you want to become a wholesaler, one thing you need to ask yourself is how confident are you in, sales and negotiations, talking to people, things like that, right? Because that's the biggest piece of all this. Everybody talks about marketing all the time, but not enough people talk about the actual art of negotiation and negotiating with these motivated sellers, because you could spend a lot of money on direct mail or any other marketing channel, but if you're not good at negotiating with people, your money could go to waste. So I just want to tell you that up front. Make sure you're confident at talking to people, being a personable type person. If that's you and you're in your element with that, that's great. If that's not you, what you should do is partner up with someone that you feel is good at being the salesperson, okay? But we'll save that for another video. Let me just give you guys what you came here for, okay? Check this out. Here's how I got started. What I did was I got a business credit card, all right? That credit card had a $12,000 limit. This is how I got started with no money, by the way, okay? And let's talk about that real quick. There's a lot of people online teaching you how to get started in wholesale real estate with no money or little money. All those tactics work, but your time's always better spent trying to raise some money, because the more money you have, the easier it is to get going. This business is pay to play. That being said, the money doesn't have to be yours. In my case, I got a credit card from the bank. So if you have good credit, you can get a credit card or a credit line, or if you have a friend or family member that has money that can finance stuff for you, you're always better off starting with some kind of working capital. Let me mention this too. Whenever I bring this up, there's always those people that say, don't go teach people to go get in debt to start a business and blah, 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 okay? One thing about real estate is you're always gonna be leveraging debt. You're always gonna be leveraging credit. If you're gonna go borrow money from a friend or family member, make sure you're confident and you're prepared to do what you gotta do. Don't just go take people's money on an experiment and then it don't work, all right? So for me, what I did was I got a credit card and I told myself, I'm gonna use this credit card every month to send mail. And by the time that credit card's maxed, if I haven't got a deal, then I'm out. Let me tell you how my story went, okay? Check it out. I started with $12,000. I break my mail up in 4 rounds, okay? 4 rounds. And don't worry, at the end of this video, we'll dive deep into this, okay? But basically, I knew that this $12,000 budget would give me $3,000 a month for 4 months, okay? And this is important. when you do mail, whatever your budget is, you want to have it for a minimum of 4 months. Some people say you should mail the same list up to 7 times. We've always had luck doing 4 months and out, okay? That's what works for us. Like I said, there's more than one way to skin a cat. If you're watching this now and your budget is 4 grand, you don't want to spend 4 grand in 1 month on mail. You want to spend $1,000 a month, 4 months in a row, okay? So follow me on that. What I did was I knew I had $3,000 a month. Postcards are roughly 50 cents a piece. You can get them cheaper or more, depends on, you know, what type, and we'll get into that later too. But just for the sake of this video, to make it simple, what I did was I basically sent out 6,000 postcards. In other words, $3,000 a month spent on postcards, right? For 4 months. So I built a list of 6,000 records. I'll get to that at the end of the video of how I built the list, what kind of list we mail to. But my plan was simple. Send 6,000 postcards per month for 4 months. And by the time the 4th month comes around, if the credit card's maxed, I have no deals, I'm gonna go find a new side hustle. This is what I was thinking at the time. Here's what happened. The very first month that I sent postcards out, we locked up our first deal. This was in January. Actually, we scheduled the mail in December. It shipped out in January. First deal got locked up in January, and it actually closed on the last day of the month. Let me grab this eraser right here. When that deal closed, that deal was $21,500, okay? I'm gonna show you what I did. By the time I got the check for the $21,500, I had already spent $3,000 on the first round of mail, and I had already just paid the next $3,000 for the next round of mail. And that's how mail works, guys. It's very slow, right? So like, you know, let's say for example, today you have a list, you call the mail house, they're gonna say, okay, send me the list. You pay up front. It takes 3 or 4 days for them to get it ready. Then it has to ship out and land. Then you have to wait for calls. By the time you're negotiating, it's already time to mail round 2. Okay, that's just kind of how it goes. You have to know getting into this isn't like a, you know, I send mail on Monday and I have a deal on Tuesday type thing. It takes a little bit of time to get it going. So by the time I got this check for $21,500, I had already spent $6,000 and 1 round of mail had landed. Out of this $21,500, I actually had to pay $1,500 of it to a guy who brought me a buyer, which on another video, I'll show you guys like, you know, how you disposition your own deals and not have to pay money out of your deals to people to find buyers. But this was my first deal, right? So I had to pay $1,500 to another guy. So here's what the numbers look like. $20,000, $6,000 tab on the credit card. I immediately paid the credit card back. Now I had $14,000 in my new business account, and I had $12,000 in available credit on my credit card that I just paid off. Now here's what I did. This is the part that takes a little bit of discipline, right? I basically did not take any profits from the company. Now, once again, you know, disclaimer, I already had another successful business. I was in a situation where I didn't need to take any of this money to pay any of my bills. Thank God, right? What I did was I reinvested. So in my mind, I said, okay, I got $12,000 in credit. I got $14,000 here. So now I have $26,000 to play with. At this point, I had already sent 6,000 postcards twice. Got the first check, put money here, boom. What I immediately did was I took this $26,000 and I ramped up my budget. Remember, I started with $12,000 budget, $3,000 a month. This allowed me to double it. This allowed me to say, hey, now I'm gonna start sending 12,000 postcards a month, roughly, okay? Let me tell you guys what happened next. First deal's done. Now we're sending around 12,000 postcards a month. We combined my 14,000 I had over here and my 12,000 in credit, and we stuck with the same plan, just keep reinvesting in mail. But here's what happened. The second deal came in. It was 25,000. That deal I had to pay 5 grand to someone that brought the buyer. The next deal came in. It was 14,500. And on that deal, I paid 2,500 to someone that found the buyer. I want to pause right here and just point something out to you guys. You see the pattern that's happening? I'm getting deals and I'm already paying 1,500 on one deal, 5,000 on another deal, 2,500 on another deal. I realized right away, I'm giving up a lot of money to these guys that are bringing the buyers. So it was by my third deal that I said, I need to figure out a way to go get buyers and do this on my own. Because I started doing the math. I'm like, man, if I do hundreds of deals and I'm giving away 2 to 5 grand on every deal, do the math. It's a lot of money at stake, right? Classic mistake that a lot of wholesalers make is they get comfortable having other people disposition their deals for them, and they don't think about it because it seems like, you know, you get a $25,000 check. If you got to give up 2 grand, doesn't seem like a big deal. But if you flash forward 2 or 3 years and you've done hundreds of deals, that's an enormous amount of money, tremendous amount of money. So I'll save that for another video, but I just want to point it out while we're talking about this. First deal, 21.5, second deal, 25, third deal, 14.5. All this is taking place in the first few months as I'm just reinvesting, and I'm always chasing that credit card. We're always hitting that credit card for about $6,000 a month. We're trying to pay it off and reinvest, pay it off and reinvest. Here's what happened. 1, 2, 3. Deal number 4 was a game changer. Deal number 4 was $60,000. That was the deal that came in and put us way ahead. That was the first time we took a check. By the time we got to this deal, we had the card paid off. We had a lot of money from these deals that was piling up in the bank account, and we finally started distributing funds to ourselves. The next deal was $430,000. That's a fucking game changer deal. I will do a separate video just on that specific deal, break it all down for you guys. It was a multi-unit property that we flipped. And guys, make sure you stay till the end of this video, okay? Because at the end, when I talk about the data that we market to, I'm gonna touch on this. I'm gonna touch on some of the classic mistakes that a lot of wholesalers make, which is only marketing to certain types of houses. Guys, you're never gonna get a deal like this, or even like this, if you're not marketing to the right properties. And a lot of this depends on demographically where you're at, right? Like if you live in Ohio and houses are $30,000, $40,000, you're not gonna get a $60,000 check on a $50,000 house. So you have to sprinkle in some other areas where the home values are more, but we'll get to that at the end of this. What I'm trying to point out to you guys now though is exactly how my story went, and so you can see how I actually got started by literally just leveraging credit from a bank and how fast we turned it into a massive amount of money. By the time we got here, it was very easy for us to just put ourselves on a salary, keep reinvesting into mail, and by the end of that year, we closed the year with $850,000 in our first year, and it was just me, Dustin, and at that point we did have one VA that was helping us, but that was it. No office, no Podio, no crazy CRMs and spreadsheets and accountability scorecards and no transaction coordinators and no nothing. It was just us two and a VA, that's it. So about 700 grand was profit. All right, that's the point I'm trying to make. But let me tell you why I love direct mail and why to this day, it's still my favorite marketing channel. Direct mail is very scalable with the least amount of manpower. Me and one guy did all that. Like I said, no office, no help. If you go hire 10 people to cold call for you, it's a lot of management. It's 10 people with 10 personalities, 10 sets of problems. It's a lot of work. I'm not saying don't do it, but I'm just comparing the two, right? Direct mail, less manpower. This is my favorite thing about direct mail. I like keeping my company lean. In our peak, we were doing about 25,000 postcards a month, and it was just me and him. Like I said, one VA, so not a lot of manpower. The other thing I like about mail is it's predictable. This is important. Cold calling and PPC and all the other marketing channels, they're somewhat predictable, but mail's been tried and true and tested over 30 years. It's very predictable, okay? You know that you're always gonna get a 0.5% to maybe a 1.5% response rate. So if you're not getting enough leads, it's very easy to just look at your budget and say, how much am I spending? And am I getting the right amount of responses, right? And if you're not, then it's an easy problem to fix. You can figure out the problem fast just by looking at the data. If you're sending 10,000 postcards a month, then you should know I should be getting somewhere between 50 and 150 calls. And out of 150 calls, you should be getting at least a couple deals, right? These are just basic metrics. Guys, I'll tell you something else. So many people talk about KPIs. If you don't know what KPIs are, it's key performance indicators, okay? Generic KPIs for mail would be 0.5% to 1.5% response rate. Another one would be that you should get one deal out of every 40 leads. Your cost per deal should be somewhere around 3 to 4 grand. Those are all KPIs. The problem that I have with KPIs, and this is what I tell my coaching students, is there's one big variable missing that you can't track, and that is who's doing the negotiating. Think about it, okay? If this guy's spending 10 grand a month on mail and I'm spending 10 grand a month on mail in the same market to the same leads and we're getting the same amount of leads, I'm a better negotiator than him, I'm still gonna get more deals. And my KPIs are gonna look way different than his. So guys, don't get your head too consumed with like, okay, I got this many calls and I should have this many results and because there's so many variables that you can't control. The biggest one being who's doing the negotiating. If you're a great salesperson, you're really good at negotiating, you're gonna get more deals than the average guy, period, okay? Before I get too far off subject, reasons why I like mail. Less manpower, predictable. I'm gonna put right here, you can scale with credit. I like that too, because if you have a team of people in-house working for you on payroll, you have to have the revenue to support it. You have to support the office, the payroll taxes, things like that. With sending mail, you can literally just put it on your credit card and you're constantly outrunning that credit card. And with mail, that works really good because like I told you, by the time you send your first round of mail, even if you get a deal your first month, you're already gonna be sending the second round and setting up the third round. So it's nice to have the flexibility to leverage credit for that. Less manpower, predictable, scalable with credit. These are the main 3 reasons why to this day, mail is still my favorite channel. Here's another reason why. This is gonna sound funny, but there's an off switch. There is a such thing as getting too many leads. If you don't have the manpower to effectively handle the amount of leads you're getting, those leads go to waste. Like I told you guys, I like to run very lean on my company. I don't wanna be overstaffed. In the beginning, when it was just me and him, it was very easy because all we had to do was keep it around 25,000 postcards a month. He can handle half, I can handle half, no problem, right? Now that I have a bigger company with more people, sometimes we get excited, we start spending money on mail, we get overwhelmed. It's very easy to just hit the off switch. We don't send mail for a month to get caught up. I mean, it's a quality problem to have when it happens, right? Obviously, you don't want it to happen a lot, but to put it in perspective, if you have 10 people cold calling for you, you can't just pause them for a month. You have to fire people. You have to lay people off, hurt feelings, hard conversations. It sucks, okay? And take it from me. If you guys don't know my background, I ran a telemarketing company with 250 telemarketers. I'm gonna say that again. 250. telemarketers, okay? That's a lot of management. That's a lot of managing of managers and dealing with people that, oh, I can't pay my rent. Can I get in advance? And my fucking dog's sick and all this other kind of shit, right? And when things get slow and you're committed to paying that type of staff, guess who loses all the money? The owner, okay? Now, I'm not complaining. It's just the reality of business. But once again, this is why I like mail for real estate, is because I can turn it off at any time and not have to fire a bunch of people or lay anybody off. This is how I run my company. To this day, we don't really do much cold calling anymore. To this day, we've built such a big brand. We just get a lot of deals organically, but we still do a lot of mail. But when I was in my heyday, I had about 20 cold callers for real estate. We were doing about 40,000 postcards a month, and we're spending money on Google and texting and all kinds of other stuff. So all those marketing channels work. They all have their pros and cons. In another video, I'm gonna do a full breakdown for you guys of the pros and cons of every marketing channel. Make sure you watch that too, because if you're a new guy getting in the game, you have to ask yourself, what do you want your company to look like? Some of you guys are super ambitious, right? And you're like, I want a big office and 20 people and all this stuff. That's great. If that's you, do it. But if you're like me, I didn't want any of that. I already came from that, right? My goal was nice little office, a handful of key people that are all friends that I can count on, and we all make a bunch of money. That's what I wanted to do. That's what I've accomplished with my real estate company. It's a beautiful thing. Once again, before I get off subject, okay? Off switch, scale with credit, predictable, less manpower. These are all the things that I like about direct mail, okay? To end this video, what I'm gonna do now is just basically show you what I mailed to and how I did it. And then after that, I suggest you go take action and hit the ground running, okay? You've already heard me talk about how I did it by leveraging the credit card, how I invested monthly and took the profits and rolled it back and increased the mail budget. And you also seen exactly how my deal flow went, okay? Here's what you have to know now for you to go put this in action. The first thing you need is data. You need good data, okay? I'm gonna have a link somewhere below, probably in the description of this video, where you can click my link and you can try my supplier for free for 7 days. It's where we pull data from to this day. So you can try it for free, and if you like it, it's 97 bucks a month, and then you can pull about 5,000 records a month, okay? I suggest using them because the data is good. What you don't wanna do is buy cheap or bad data, because if the data is not accurate to begin with, you're setting yourself up from failure right out of the gate. There's some things that it's okay to go cheap on in life. Your data is not one of them. Remember this, okay? Cost equates quality. Good stuff ain't cheap. Cheap ain't good. You get what you pay for when it comes to this type of stuff. So spend the money and use a reputable data company like mine, all right? So boom, first things first, get data. Now, when you get data, here's what you have to ask yourself. What market am I gonna market to? Here's what most people do. They start right away marketing right around where they live. And a lot of people advocate that and say, hey, start in your local market because you have connections there. I'm not saying not to do that, but what I am saying is do a little bit of reverse engineering and ask yourself this question. The market that I live in, does it have properties that are big enough to make the spreads I want? I'll go back to the analogy I gave earlier. If you live in Columbus, Ohio, or Memphis, Tennessee, and houses all around you are $40,000 and $50,000, you're never gonna get a $100,000 check flipping a $40,000, $50,000 house, right? That doesn't mean that you don't do deals there, but what that means is that you add in a couple more markets, okay? Here's the thing about direct mail, and actually here's the thing about all marketing, right? It costs what it costs. It's not like it's cheaper to send postcards in Tennessee than it is in California. They cost the same no matter where you're sending them. So you might as well plant some of them where you can get the big deals. Now, if you remember, when I showed you guys my layout, it was my fourth and fifth deal that was 60,000 and 400,000. That would have never happened if I would have started marketing in Vegas or Memphis or somewhere like that, because they just don't have those type of properties there. First thing you need to do is identify your market, find out if it's a market you want to be in, and don't be afraid to start right out of the gate with multiple markets. If you live in one of those little markets, send half your mail there, but send the other half somewhere like California or Miami or Philly or DC or even some parts of Texas where the property values are bigger. That's step one. Once you figure that out, you have to build your list. I'll save that for another video where we do a full-on tutorial of how to log on to the software and build the list. But here's what we mail to this day. High equity, absentee owners, all right? Tax defaults, vacant properties. Actually, and I forgot over here, pre-foreclosures. Now, there's a lot of other stuff, probates and unknown equity and code enforcements and tax liens and all kinds of shit, right? But these are the ones that we mail to all the time. This constitutes 80% of our list that we mail to. High equity, tax defaults, vacants, pre-foreclosures. That's what works for us here in my market in Cali. That's what I'm gonna recommend. And last but not least is the mail piece, the postcard. In my opinion, I would say, use the smaller cards, but you can send more of them. You can start spending a lot of money on like big fancy cards that cost $1 a piece and yellow letters and all that stuff. They all have their You know, they all have their pluses and minuses, but when you're first getting started, just pick the basic small card. Make sure it's like a neon color. We'll also post a link where you can email us and we can put you in touch with our mail people. They're really good. They mail nationwide, super fast, and they have a lot of designs. Don't get too caught up in, you know, what does the card say, the design, all that type of stuff. What I've found to work over the years is as long as the card looks good aesthetically, as long as it pops, like the color's bright and the writing's good, it'll stand out from the rest. And other than that, it's just a game of doing it consistently. So when I was doing this myself, one thing I did a lot of is I'd always ask the prospect, hey, why did you choose my company? If so many people send you postcards, why did you decide to call us? And more often than not, this was the answer I got. They would say, hey, Chris, I didn't choose you. I called other people first. You're the first person that answered. That's the most common answer I got. So what does that tell you? Make sure you pick up the phone when you send postcards. That alone will give you an edge over everybody else. And make sure you stay consistent, because all these people you're mailing to, they're getting mail from everybody. Every day these guys get mail, they look at it, they throw it away because they're not ready to sell. But maybe something happens in their life. Maybe they woke up that morning and found out they got served with divorce papers, or maybe they just lost their job or got a job transfer, or maybe someone in their family died and some drastic change happened. Your postcard, along with a few others, landed on the right day. They're usually gonna deal with whoever they talk to first, period, okay? Pick a good card, pick a small card, be consistent, make sure you mail the same list at least 4 times, and more importantly than anything, make sure you pick up the phone when people call you. All right, guys, if this video helped you, do me a favor, like it, drop a comment, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I'm gonna be bringing you guys a ton of free content like this. Make sure you forward it to people that need to hear it, okay? And other than that, I will see you guys again with a new video in a couple days.